Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome. This is Adobe Live, and I am your host, Chris Blackstock. It is 9:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and it is part two, day two, with wonderful illustrator and graphic designer, Carra Sykes. Hi, Carra.
Hi.
Nice to see you again. Hope you're doing
Yes.
well this morning.
I'm very glad to be back and continue what
Awesome.
we worked on yesterday.
Yes, we had so much fun yesterday. I just want to say what's up to the chat. Always great to have you here. Hey, Robert. Hey, Oliver. Monica. Annika. Nice to have you here. Please let us know where you're chiming in from. Always great to have everybody to participate. Just want to say, if you haven't already, please subscribe to our new Adobelive channel on YouTube to stay up to date on the latest streams, participate in the Adobelive community, and so much more. And also, you can start your day with this Photoshop Creative Challenges hosted by Wade Acuff. Awesome, dude. Every weekday at 9 a.m. Pacific. Tune in, challenge yourself with a new prompt each day. Also, what else was I going to say? Forgot what else I was going to say. We'll figure it out. Let's go over really quick. Or actually, let's have you tell us a little bit about yourself again. Let's do a reintroduction. And then after that, we can go over what we did on day one and what we're going to do for day two.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Carra Sykes, and I live in a small town called Brenham between Houston and Austin. And I work as an illustrator, designer, and also a design manager at Planoly. And I love making really bold and colorful, bold and colorful art. And yeah, I am also a mom. And here are, just wanted to show you all some of my work, just so you can kind of get a vibe of the work I create. This is one of I think this really kind of gives a vibe of who I am as an artist. A lot of imagination, playful colors, and things like that. I talked yesterday that I don't like to draw hands, but I do actually really like these hands that I did here. Yeah. So here's a little bit of kind of what I do. Little poster project.
It's the cutest house on fire I've ever seen.
I know it's probably not the exact vibe of the movie, but a different take on it. Yeah. Let's see. I could show one more because we're talked about Star Wars.
Oh,
Here
yeah.
are some little helmets I did too. So you can see my style kind of ranges, but it's always a little bit simplified and colorful.
And like you said earlier, there's kind of this fun energy there. Like, it's still really precise, but it's also not. Like, it's got a little bit of wonkiness and kind of fun playfulness to those really hard edges and crisp lines.
Yeah. Well, I'm ready to dive in.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's go over let's do a quick review of what we did yesterday, and then yeah, let's go over what we're going to do for today.
All right. So yesterday I started with, let's hide these. I started with a sketch. We actually started with 3 sketches, and the audience chose this one right here. I actually have this one up just in case we have a little extra time for me to do, because Chris really liked this one. And then my first illustration was this one right here. And so I illustrated the same sketch in 3 different styles. So we have this one right here, which is kind of my go-to style that I like to do in Illustrator. And then I went to a line work one. This one, if you joined yesterday, this one is a little bit different. I spent some time working on it a little bit to tweak it to what I wanted. And I added a little bit of color just to see what that would look like. And then I did one that's very different, super painterly. I used the Blob brush to create this one. And I actually did change the colors a little bit from yesterday to feel similar to what we have here. And that's where we ended yesterday.
Awesome. No, it looks great. I love all the 3 different styles all feel far enough from each other, especially this last one, that I'm interested to see kind of how they fit together.
Yeah, so today what I would like to do is I actually wanted to do one more style with these, and then that way
Okay.
I want to bring them all together in a collage style, which y'all will see soon. once we get that one created. And I'm going to end up actually putting them a little bit better on the artboard. Right now, they kind of live in this artboard in a non-intentional way, and I'm gonna show y'all how I take it from this way on the artboard into how I want to try to finalize it up. So after yesterday, I was thinking, what's another way I can work really quickly and do a different style? And that will be taking what I have here, which I guess technically is not redrawing it for a fourth time, but I'm going to go ahead and use this kind of skeleton that I have here. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to actually hide this. I like to lock my artboards sometimes just so I don't highlight all and then end up taking some from different artboards. And I do hide them too. But I'm going to make this new layer here. And I'm going to call it Art Layer 4. And something really great about, at least I use short keys, Command F will copy and paste it into the exact spot it was, and in the front of everything that you have there. But I didn't have anything here at the time, so it was kind of hard to show what that would look like. But okay, so what I'm going to do is actually get rid of the stroke completely. So we are going to click on this little none here. And so now we have this blob of color. And you can't really see what it is. So what I'm going to do is bring the sketch here. And what I'm going to do is, instead of having outlines on the outside, I want to create line work on the inside and have some spots that don't have outlines. So for this one, I think I'm going to go for the blob brush just to have that ability to kind of draw free form like this.
Cool.
I'm not sure yet how thick I want it to be. So you can use your brackets, which they look like this on your keyboard. And this one will make it smaller. So if I click on that, you can kind of see, I don't know if I can make it much bigger, but you can kind of see how the circle gets smaller when I hit that. And then if I hit the one that looks like this, the circle gets bigger. And so you can have a thicker one or one that's a little thinner. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these. And I'm actually going to give myself a darker color here. We can always trade it out when we are finishing the illustration here. So let's do dark green. Oops. One trick I like.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. I was gonna say one trick I like to do if you are choosing colors. So if I click this, it's giving the inside color. But if I wanted the stroke to be that color, you can hit X, and if you see over here, it switches out which one you're choosing color for. So either the stroke or the fill. But I want to change the fill here. So that green.
Awesome. So I remembered what I was supposed to say in the intro is today is day 2. And so we have the artist spotlight today. So that's what I meant to say. Up in the chat, up in the top right corner, it says artist spotlight. You can fill out the form, nominate yourself, nominate somebody you know, or just another artist that you follow on Behance. And later in the show, we are going to talk about them, talk about their art, and just generally check out how awesome it is. So please go fill out the form, and who knows, maybe it's you or somebody you know will be in the artist spotlight. All right, I did it. With the blob tool, can you taper the edges, or is it usually always like a thick?
So for the
is
blob
it just like a,
tool,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. It's, although I've never really played with much of the settings on this one. You can change it. So let's see, if you wanted it to be more of a calligraphic, I think that's the word you would use. You would kind of play with the angles here, and you could play with the angle there. But I usually keep it, let's see, at 0 and then 100. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
I like to use it like a mono pen. So if I was working with a micron, maybe, because you get kind of that thick line approach, or depending on the thickness of the micron, it stays pretty much, or in my mind, it mimics kind of the idea of drawing with a micron pen or something like that.
Right. It's got that uniform thickness.
So here I'm just kind of drawing some of the lines. And I guess because it's not going to really come out, I think, the way that I was thinking, but that's fine. I think for here, I want to have some of the shapes exist. Like, okay, so like this would make sense right here. So now if I take off the sketch layer, I won't have to fill in this part of the cloud because the shape exists outside of it. So just kind of doing what like helps your mind finish what you're seeing. So
right.
So if I take away the sketch, then it goes, but now I'm going to add it back. And so for here, I have to do the whole cloud. Maybe there's a way that I could do it without showing the whole cloud, but I think for here, it makes sense. And kind of going out right here, I'm not going to do the line there, but I'm going to bring it in over here. So you can have that little gap, and maybe it creates an interesting, not fully line stroked, but having that option to have a little bit of the color just be the finishing of in your mind what that looks like. So and this one shouldn't take too long because it's pretty similar to the one we did yesterday, in the middle yesterday.
And now doing this, are you using the tablet to draw all this?
Yes. So I'm using the tablet. It's so funny because yesterday I found myself accidentally using the tablet when I wanted to just use the pen tool. But I think it's just a habit in drawing, grabbing a drawing utensil and using it.
Yeah, it's funny sometimes because I'm on such a big screen, a Cintiq, that there are certain things that you're like, you switch to the mouse because you're like, this needs to be exactly precise. And like, just with the digital tools, it's like sometimes like you can use the precision mode and stuff, but sometimes it's like it doesn't click exactly where you want it to or grab things. And so it's always nice to kind of have the mouse nearby.
So we got this. And then it starts getting tricky over here because I'm trying to figure out, okay, where do I need to draw a line? Do I need one there? And then these pieces, they might not need one, but then if I take off the sketch, we can kind of get a little look. So I think I really only need to add in the lines here, and then this one will be finished, and we can move on to starting to create a collage. Maybe for some interest, I'll kind of have some line breaks here to mimic what's happening here. And actually these right here were a mistake, but then I really like the way it looks. So they became a happy accident.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. And it helps to differentiate it just a little bit from the previous kind of line work.
And I have for my settings, one thing, if y'all are working with the Blob brush tool, you can, when you double click over here, you get the settings. And if I wanted to really smooth out my line work, because maybe you're trying to draw something and you have a little bit of, your hand might not be steady, it actually will help create a more smooth line work here. And then if I go, I'm going to bring it down all the way to more accurate. So this will like copy your hand pretty much. So I'm going in there and you can see that these are like a little more wobbly than what you have over here. So it really just depends on what style you're going for. I like to keep mine either between these two, just to give it a little more of a round feel.
So where did you live before moving to Texas? Is that where
Yes.
you grew up, or?
So I lived in North Carolina, or I grew up in North Carolina. And then I went to school in Virginia for university,
That's right.
I spent most of my life in North Carolina, and I have to hold my breath sometimes when I draw, so excuse my pauses.
Like what?
It's like that part of your brain that cuts off when you are trying to draw a certain type of line.
You got it. You got to breathe through it. Breathe through it.
Yeah. So I grew up there, and so when I moved to Texas, I had to get used to the heat. And this summer we had triple digits for, I would say, a good chunk of the summer. We still have really warm weather. I think today is it's 76 outside right now, which is not my favorite, but I've really enjoyed living here, and experiencing kind of being able to live between Houston and Austin. Houston was one of my favorite cities to live in. I moved there in 2013, and then we ended up moving to this small town in 2017 when we wanted to buy a house, and very thankful that we got to buy a house here and have been here ever since. And we do a little work on our house, kind of do some DIY stuff, and have been fixing it up.
Yeah, that's the dream. But I live in Los Angeles, so it gets crushed every day.
It is hard.
It's like, oh, you want a house? You want a house, huh? We can give you a 1-bedroom for 1.5 million.
Oh gosh.
In a bad area just for you.
Yeah, that's why we actually ended up moving to where we were, just because Houston was very expensive. And the cool thing about just kind of the occupation that you can do, a lot of stuff can be remote work, which is I'm super thankful for too, because I do really well with remote work. I think it's because when I was full-time freelance, all of my clients were out of Texas. And so I was used to having video calls or, checking on their time zone and making sure I'm getting things on time. And I really love it. I know some people like to be in the office, and it's nice for community and things like that. But I really thrive in the remote work world.
Yeah, I mean, I've did freelance for a very, very long time. I still do, but I was telling you earlier, I work in the animation industry now, but it's mostly remote. But I've been wanting to get back into some office work, just not on like a full-time basis, but just to have that experience once a week, twice a week of just being around other designers. Because I think the hardest part can be really quick communication sometimes, where you really just kind of want some feedback. And sometimes you got to wait a couple hours or whatever. But, if you're in an office, you can kind of vie for that time and kind of be like, I just need, I need a real quick thing, and then I can go back to it. So I think for me, that's the one thing I've been kind of seeking out, is that kind of peer review that's a little bit quicker return time.
Yeah, the one-on-one kind of quick review. One thing I'll do with my team is we'll hop on a quick call, or I just started playing with recording videos if I'm giving feedback, just so it's more direct. Because sometimes if you're typing, the tone is confusing, and you might not be able to point out certain things. Like if I wanted, if one of my designers was working on this cloud, and I thought it needed to be rounder, it would be easier for me to show them on video if we can't hop on a call. So
yeah. Yeah, because that's the thing, is that the technology's all there. It's not that we couldn't do all these things. It's just, it's definitely the aspect of just everybody's remote. And you might be in the studio working, or you might have had to go run an errand, or your child is sick. There's all these kind of factors that if you're at an office, some of those things you kind of figure out. But if you're working from home, it's like there's that flexibility, which is great. It's the plus, right? But it can also be can be distracting as well.
for sure. And I think, yeah, it's an interesting thing that the current nowadays, just being able to use digital and then versus being in an office and for certain occupations. All right. I think I like this colorway right now. So I'm just going to keep it for now. And so I'm going to transition to organizing these so I can start taking them into what we're calling a collage. Now, I guess technically, maybe it's not going to be a collage. Maybe we could think of a new word for it, for what it ends up being. But before then, I did want to, yesterday we were talking about the Intertwine feature,
yes,
or tool, and I wanted to, yes, I was practicing, and I wanted to show a quick little demo on that, just because it's fun, and also I'm always here to test out a few new things and hopefully show something that y'all haven't seen. And if you have seen it, it's so cool. So I wrote cactus. I made it all spiky using the roughen, making it rough with the effect. And then, okay, so now I have this, and I guess it's not really like, I just was like, let's draw this thing here. It's not really an actual drawing of a cactus or anything, but we're gonna go up here to object and then intertwine and make. And so what I'm gonna do is make this little line kind of interweave between these letters. Let's see, let's start going behind the C here. And then it's gonna weave, I think maybe we'll come out of the A there. We'll see. So what I'm doing is using this little, what looks like the lasso tool, and I'm circling all the parts that I want this top object to either go behind this bottom object. So at this point, we're having it go like this. I think it should go behind the C. So I have to highlight this whole area here, and then it pushes it behind there. And then we're gonna come here, and I think we'll go above and then under. We'll do kind of a traditional weave here. So over, under, over, and then under the S here. And then there you go.
It's so easy. It's kind of ridiculous.
It's so cool. Thank you for the team that worked on that. Well, maybe like represent the pricklies with the white. But yeah, so that
looks great.
Just wanted to show that, since yesterday I did not have it right in my mind. I was like, I need to get that. I need to do it.
So do you kind of draw it through, and then do you just select all of the shapes that are going to be in that intertwine?
Yes. Yeah. So okay. I guess here I kind of did the most simple way of doing it. And what's interesting, and I don't know all of the technicalities, but so see how it's kind of,
oh yeah.
So it has created that it's when an object is not, it's like non-obstructive. So you still have all your pieces. If I were to do this the old way, I would have done it with Shape Builder, and it would have deleted pieces of it, kind of like what we showed yesterday. And
right.
And you lose those pieces. So here I actually still have the full cactus, and I don't have to worry about it being separated.
Which, again, kind of what we were talking about yesterday, is great for motion graphics, right? I mean, that's the less you have to destroy, the better when making your designs.
Yeah, I love it. I'm gonna try pushing that later on other pieces I do in the future. I would love to see kind of how far we could go with that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is each of these, I'm actually going to have them all show real quick so I can grab them all at the same time. And I am going to kind of uncheck those. I'm going to move this around on the board. I'm going to actually bring these over here. Actually, no, because if I do that, they'll all be on the same and I don't have them grouped. So what I'm going to do is actually, so if you click on this thing here, this circle, it actually will highlight everything within that artboard. So I'm going to group them together, and I'm going to group this other layer together, group this one, and group this one. So now when I bring them all over, I can actually bring them over without them all being on one layer. But I can, so what I'm going to do here, to make it easier, I'm just going to actually go through and do them layer by layer so that y'all can see. All right. This one, oops. I forgot this one was over here. I wanted to show y'all how it looked yesterday. This is how it looked yesterday before I added the colors and things like that. So we're going to ungroup that, and I'm only going to group this one. Okay. So now we have all of the pieces again. So what I'm going to do for this side, though, is decide where it's going to live on the artboard. And I'm thinking, I did a 4x5 format for Instagram because I think that's where this will end up, but you can always have a different size. Sometimes it's hard to find a balance. As you can see, I close one eye. That's how I do it. My computer sees probably
good practice.
The funniest faces here, and sometimes I'll zoom out just to kind of see how that looks. Okay. Maybe bring it down just a little. Yeah. Okay. So now for each one, I want to actually create a color background so I don't end up having so each one has something to live on, and that way it will kind of represent as if all of these were stacked together and we ripped the paper to reveal different pieces. So this one, and this is where it might get a little tricky on what colors I want and trying to figure out what those backgrounds should look like. So let's start with.
So each one is going to have a different colored background. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I was thinking that what's going to be nice about that is it's going to help, I think, the viewer see the different pieces a little more than if they all had the same background. But we can also experiment with having the same background color. So for this one, I really love using pink. I used to not like pink at all, and then it kind of grew on me and became one of my core colors that I use.
Got to go with like the mauve, the fuchsia, salmon. Got all those different ones.
Do you have any colors that you use now that you would have never used years ago?
Gosh, I use a lot of it's like pink. I'm more of a magenta kind of guy. It's a little more reds in there, but I definitely have, like, it's funny because my wife's always like, you use the same colors. And I'm like, it's because I love them. But it's usually like a teal, like magenta, usually like a burnt orange, like brown. It's kind of, I said it's like a neon 70s style. It's like retro futuristic, but I always tend to like gravitate towards those colors.
I really like the red that almost is mistaken for orange. Let's see, for this one, maybe a simple kind of paper background color. So here we have you can kind of see through. I'm going to move this over so that's not distracting. Oops. Zoom in here so we can see. So now they kind of all exist as single pieces of art, which is really cool because you can kind of create a little series here. I mean, it could be the 365 project and really push yourself to make 365 different versions of the same thing.
Is this the one?
I don't know. I don't know, but I do think it could get a little bit difficult. I think sticking with the same sketch. I wonder if I were to make this kind of more boxy, if I'd want to redraw the sketch, but have the same subject matter and same placement, but just having to redraw it. I think my mind, when I see the sketch, it tends to stick to the exact kind of line work I had already done. So I think I would have to redraw them in some way. But
could you add, like, change that line into something that's more textured?
Yeah. And I would like that to kind of go with I have this one brush that I created in Photoshop that I really like because it feels really gritty and kind of raw on the edges, which actually you can also use brushes in here that have that texture. But I wouldn't mind creating my own. You can also do, let's see, you've got different ways to kind of change the line work here. And then.
Right, because if you can, because it's the blob brush, can you select that and alter the line itself, or is it already kind of a shape?
So the blob brush, from how I use it, it stays. So these are shapes. They don't have shapes, any right? Strokes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And actually, when I use it for client work, I come in here and I get really picky about things like this. I end up getting rid of those.
Little bobs and nibs and.
Yeah. I get a little picky with that, but okay. All right. So I think what I'm gonna do is, okay, so we're on this layer. So I'm trying to imagine this space as if this is a stack of these illustrations and where I want to cut those and where I want those to exist. So I think we're just gonna go for it and see what happens, and then I can always try something a little different. So let's see. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is use the brush tool, and I'm gonna kind of create almost like a ripped effect here. So I'm just kind of drawing. I'm trying not to think too much about it because I want it to be interesting and not feel super perfect. Like this line. Okay, so I think I found out my issue here is I have brush on, or I have the brush on too much of smoothing. So I need to do more accurate so I can get that kind of hand movement.
Right. Otherwise it's going to auto correct it for you and it's not going to look hand drawn.
All right, so let's see. I think I'll back up here a little. Okay. So I'm just going to see if this can kind of create that torn look. And bring that up over here. And then I kind of overdo it here because we have this background there. And then I'm going to, okay, so it's a shape right now. So we have this shape here. And what you would need to do, I need to make sure all of these are locked, is highlight this whole section here. So I'm only highlighting this illustration. Let me make sure that that's it. Okay. And then I'm going to right click on to this shape. And I'm going to say make clipping mask. So we're starting to kind of get an idea of what this could look like. So right now, we're about here. I might end up adding some type of stroke to that line, to maybe white to make it look like torn paper, or to make it feel even more separated. But for now, I'm just going to keep it like this. Okay, so I'm going to lock that layer. I'm going to go to this layer. So we're working on this teal color background one. Okay, so same thing. I think this one, I can't tell if we want to do, I might do the bottom of this one. Let's see what that looks like. Actually, I really like this piece right here, kind of this part of it. So what I'm gonna do is come in here. I realized I did the blob tool, so I'm gonna hit B and get the brush tool. We're gonna kind of do a similar thing here. But I might actually just kind of do something like this. So we're cutting out that corner.
Very cool.
And then, so now what I'm gonna do is zoom out. I'm gonna highlight everything and make sure that's the only one. Okay. And then you're gonna hit Control and you're gonna go make clipping mask. And so it's starting to reveal the pieces underneath. And so now we have this one and this one left. I think for the next one that's going to show through will be my style that I do a lot. And I do like the way it looks through here. So I think I might bring it down through here. So I'm going to get the brush tool, not the blob brush tool. So I'm hitting B. I'm going to do this. And because this one's living under all of them, it's only going to show kind of, so I didn't really care too much how this looked here or this up here because those aren't going to show. But actually, I'm going to redraw it. Maybe to be a little rougher here. Okay. And then again, I'm going to, oops, I drew that on the wrong layer. So I'm going to hit, on my computer, it's Command C, oh wait, Command X, sorry. And then I'm gonna bring it and Command F on this layer here. And then I'm gonna highlight it all again. And I love working with clipping masks. I do it a lot in my work, I think, if I'm not using the shape layer tool. So actually, I'm really liking the way this looks.
Yeah.
This though, right here, this tiny little bit, I'm gonna see. And so now I'm gonna be this is actually adjusting the clipping mask. So another example of that, if I wanted, that's the kind of cool thing about clipping mask. So if I did want this to kind of line up really small details like that, I can come in and adjust it and it's still gonna hold, kind of contain whatever I put inside of it, which is really cool.
Right. It looks awesome. So
it's like, I think one thing we might be missing is if I can kind of create a shadow type, maybe.
I know, I'm trying to think. You could do it a few ways, right? You could do it where you keep that same edge and then kind of move it, like add a shape using that edge and just kind of move it up or create that little bit of either a shadow or like a white edge tear.
Let's see if I can create. Oh yeah. So for this, I took that same shape. Yeah, let's see.
Yeah, I think that's kind of, yeah.
I can make sure I grab the right one. I can see. So it kind of feels, oh, okay. This is cool. Okay, one trick too, if you have stuff bleeding over the edge of your artboard, you can do up here trim view, and it'll kind of show you what your artboard is, what it looks like. So if you kind of if you need to see what your frame is, it will do that for you. I'll put that on every now and then.
Right, because when you go to print or when you send the file, like whatever's on your artboard or your canvas, that's what's going to show up. All that overhang isn't going to be a part of the print, right?
Yes. Yeah. So that will be, so it's kind of like giving you the idea of what it's going to look like printed. Yeah.
Right.
So this one, oops. And this one's going to go down a little bit. Okay, so I ran into what's happening here is I actually have the same color here. So for this one, I might actually want to change this background. This color here for this piece, I think I'm going to make it, let's try yellow. Or something that's strikingly different. Oh, that one's kind of nice. So then you're able to see the tear line. I like to use a slightly off-white when I create the white colors that I use because it's a little easier on the eyes. And sometimes with black too, I'll do a more of a navy black. So it's kind of down here, this color. Let's try that color. I don't know.
That's nice too.
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it will be interesting, but I'm going to try it out on this layer. Maybe I'll keep it as the same color that's here. Or pull from some of these. So another way to kind of connect the illustrations is pulling from the different colors that already exist within it. So maybe something we see here, this bluish color. Oh yeah, that's different enough. And then I want to actually bring this illustration, I want it to be revealed here too. So kind of either here or somewhere else. Let's see. If I go back to my layers, I'm gonna have to make sure that I'm on that one in specific. So okay. And for that though, I will have to kind of get into the clipping mask and make sure that I also have this piece again. I might actually duplicate this there. So
is this your first time doing this kind of style, or have you done it on other projects? I forgot if we asked that.
I did do it on or something similar. I got to create the pins for Adobe Max to celebrate the different years, and I did it on one of those, but it wasn't exactly this. It was kind of a it was more so the exact same design, but just with different colors and looking like different pieces of paper were put together.
Gotcha.
While this one is a little bit different, using different styles and yeah, so this is my first time, which is why my y'all are kind of going along for the ride of how I'm figuring it out as I go.
That's good though. It's kind of I love the process, right? It's kind of always interesting to see how artists discover their tools or try to figure out like how to make it work and all the little tweaks that happen. And if you are just joining us, we're about 45 minutes into day 2 with graphic designer and illustrator Carra Sykes. And we are working on a beautiful cactus painting collage with a few different styles, all in Adobe Illustrator. Is this going to stay in Illustrator? Is it ever going to move into another program before finalizing? Or
I think I'm going to stay within Illustrator. Sometimes I might, if I wanted to add some type of texture overall. Sometimes in the past I've done where I put green on top to kind of make it feel less digital. But this one I'm going to keep it within Illustrator. Okay. All right, so we have this layer repeated. So what I'm going to do is lock this one, and I'm going to get rid of the clipping mask. This clipping mask. Wait. Did I click on the right one? Oh, I know why. It's because, oh wait, this is so weird. Wonder why that's not.
You have to label your layers.
Oh. I can't figure out why this one is. Okay, so that's that one. If I do release clipping mask. Is it because I have these? I don't know, maybe. Okay, so now I'm stuck, so I'm gonna move on to something else because I.
Are you trying to get the bottom right one to have an edge, that bottom right clipping mask?
I was hoping to actually duplicate this piece right here, and then take it from the clipping mask and then redo it, but I don't know why it's not. Let's just copy this and bring it into a new layer and see what happens. Interesting. Wow. I'm just then going to move on to something else on here. I think right here we have where the bottoms have the tear, but right here we're kind of losing the separation of these two, and I want to create something between them. So what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to delete this layer that I made that I don't need anymore. I'm going to add a new layer, and I'm actually just going to go in there and draw it as if I kind of like am just creating it, and then I can place it either on top or below it. I haven't decided yet, so let's go in here. Okay, cool. Just had to make sure I'm not using the blob tool.
The chat is digging the art. RB says it has a bit of a Sergio Leone vibe, little spaghetti western. Ooh. Arizona postcard.
Yes.
This is Texas. This is a Texas postcard, all right?
Okay, so that's gonna look the way I want it. Okay, so I'm basically just gonna trace or kind of be a little haphazard here, see what happens, and then on the second side of it, I'm gonna have to.
Oh, it's got that smoothing on it.
I know. Oh, it's the blob. That's why. Okay, I keep doing that because it's a habit for me to use the blob tool, and I'm so used to using the blob tool over the brush tool that I keep using it. But I think the brush tool is kind of the right tool for this one to give me the little ripped look here. I'm gonna cross over there, cross back over here, and then I'm going to kind of trace here so that, and then I'm gonna hit Command J, and that joins my paths, but you have to fix that in your settings because it won't automatically keep it selected. So we're going to paste that there, and then I'm actually going to bring that below the layer, and then kind of, there we go. And so I'm actually going to use that same technique for this last piece up here. And
I was going to say, I kind of like that look a little bit more too. Just got a little bit of variation.
Yeah, it almost feels more genuine than the other ones. Like these are maybe a little too perfect. So I think I'm going to go back and do the same thing for that because I think it's going to give it a little bit of a, make sure I'm not deleting something.
Well, and like you said, because it's already going to have a very digital feel because we're not going to add any of the grain or anything on top. It'll be nice to have a few more of those details that feel a little more like hand done.
Okay, I was wondering. This is what happens though if y'all do start having a ton of stuff on your artboard. It can get a little confusing because I'm going through here and doing stuff and then realizing that everything's on different layers and I'm playing with it. So it can get a little confusing when you start adding a ton of details. All right, so we're gonna go through here. And I did the blob brush again, so hitting B. Okay. And I like to go kind of have some of the pieces not have the white show through. So I'm crossing over a little bit there. And then on this side, I'm just gonna quickly take it because you won't see this edge. And then we're gonna bring this layer that I made and we're gonna put it under there. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that looks 10 times better.
And so what's interesting, it's great that you can copy and paste and have almost the same shape, but if you can go in and play with it, you can create little pieces that feel a little more not duplicated. And I think sometimes the duplication looks great, and then sometimes you can add a little extra touch to it.
Well, especially if you want this to have that torn paper feel, you're going to have all those little variations, and yeah, it looks really nice.
Let's figure this out. This is another one of those. Okay, I think it's this one. If I delete this one, it should be fine. Oh, yes. Okay.
Oh, did it get connected to that?
I don't know. Oh my gosh.
What is up with this one?
I don't know. I think this one is trying to. Oh, that's so bizarre.
I wonder if that shape was. Okay.
Okay, I'm just gonna draw over it. That's what this will be our solution here. We're not gonna. This happens when I'm working alone. I will talk to my computer too and ask my computer, why? What am I doing?
Yes.
So we're just gonna kind of play around with this edge that's already there and then create a new one.
Maybe that's why you like working from home, is all of the internal dialogue that is actually external. No, Carra. Do it again.
I think my go-to is oops.
Uh-oh.
All right. And then I'm going to continue this one into the screen. And then I think we should be good. I might play with the different background colors, but I think I am making a lot more layers than I typically do, just working on the fly here, just so it keeps things going. I don't think I usually work on this many layers, but it makes this piece a little easier to work on. Let's see. I'll need to bring this up. I guess that's that layer. Okay, and then we have, so this one would have to kind of exist like this. So what I'm going to do now is back up and just see what we have. And I am going to, just so that we aren't distracted by this piece, I'm actually going to do something I do on my own. I'll make this, I'll kind of darken out that artboard by adding something there. And then I will do the trim view so we can focus on that. Oh yeah.
Nice.
Does anyone have any suggestions on kind of this one down here, if we should change it to a lighter color? I think It might be interesting to have a lighter color background, but, or maybe it's the pink again.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, I do like that darker background, but I feel like you can go with a lot of different.
Oh yeah, that was the reason why we wanted it. So changing it to this color. I also have this color right here. So one trick too so if you see that my fill color is selected right now, if I do this, it's going to change it to a stroke because I'm taking that element and I'm taking kind of the color and how it reacts. But if you hit shift, it will change what you have selected. So that way I can get just the color that I'm trying to get. So it won't change it to be a stroke or anything.
That's cool. So instead of it taking the property, all of the properties of it, it'll just take the color.
Yeah. I was trying to figure out how to explain that, and that's the perfect explanation. Let's just try the red. I don't know. What do you think about the red, allowing the red to balance? I think I'm into that. You've got blue, some of these cool tones, and then the warmer tones kind of coming in here. So if I were doing this for a client, I don't know what I just did. Oh, there we go. If I was doing this for a client, what I might do is try a few different rip looks and kind of see what would feel the most complete. But because we're just doing this for fun right now, I think this is the way to go. Like, for example, actually what I might do here would be to show this full cactus, because it's not, the element is kind of confusing right here. And so what I probably would do is make this kind of cut in like that and kind of go around and see what details help your brain finish what you're looking at. Because right now this kind of doesn't allow you to really see that this is the cactus coming up here. And then I think up here, this one does a really good job of kind of going into the other, and this one as well. So I probably would work on how this one looks. But I liked the idea of not having them all be horizontal rips, and having kind of a diagonal rip here.
So the chat is asking if we should do a straw poll on the color for the bottom left.
Let's do it. I'm down.
Yay, we're gonna do it. Also, Annika's asking if you've saved. So that's very important. It's very, very important.
Yes, I have.
Okay,
thank you for asking. Yes. It's that second nature to, like, every now and then during a pause do Command S.
Yes.
But I'm thankful that people remind me too, because sometimes I can just get lost in working.
All right. So what are our options? Okay. So we've got this orange. What are some of the other ones that you would think would look great?
We got this deep green.
Okay, so orange, deep green.
And then
we'll kind of just label them.
Orange, deep green, and then maybe this like neon-y blue color.
Throw it in there. Oh, like that one right there. Sorry, it's hard to see on my.
So it's kind of like maybe a skyish blue. Oh yeah. It's probably really hard to see on screen share. But it's essentially an off-white but leaning blue.
Right. Okay, so we'll just call that light blue?
Yeah, light blue. So we got the red, the deep green, and then the light blue.
Okay, so the red, deep green, light blue. Let's do it. Those are our options. What do we think we want there? We've got the straw poll going. Thank you, Annika. All right. I'm going to keep my choice secret this time. I don't want to influence anyone.
I'm going to go through them so y'all can see. So here's the light blue, red, and the deep green.
All right, we've got Few votes in. Deep Green is in the lead. Get them in there. Get those votes in there, chat. Yeah, see, Oliver was saying that the what he's viewing it on, that light blue is hard to see with that off-white. I do like it though. Let's see. All right, we'll give it another minute. See a few more votes coming in.
While we're waiting, I'm gonna actually unlock all of these and see what it would look like if we were to make all of these backgrounds the same color.
Oh, that's cool. Good
just
idea.
to see.
And also, while we're doing that, it is 10:30 here now, so we are an hour into the stream. So that means in about 30 minutes, we are going to be doing the artist spotlight because it's day 2. So if you haven't already, there's a form up there in the artist spotlight tab. Go ahead, fill it out and nominate yourself or somebody else to be featured in our next artist spotlight. Looks like Deep Green's in the lead.
Deep Green's in the lead.
This is kind of cool though too. This kind of.
I'm curious what it could look like. I'm gonna hit Command Z a lot to get back to the other, but I want to see.
It's like we're gonna have some multiple versions here.
If I can select this last piece, we can see.
This is the problem piece.
So it's, I don't know, it's abstract. It's, it's always worth a try to see what.
Yeah, not as much impact. All right. I think the people have spoken. Deep Green is the choice.
Deep Green. All right. We'll keep it. We'll keep it.
83% of the votes.
It's kind of interesting because looking at the piece too, just thinking about the weight. I don't think it feels too heavy with the Deep Green, but it could easily get pretty heavy, I think. In that bottom left corner.
Oh, the chat can definitely be wrong. That's okay.
But I think I still.
You don't have to listen to them.
I still can't figure. I think I like this one, but we'll keep it.
I like that other one too. I think those are the Deep Green, but that orangish red is also a good selection.
We'll keep it like this for now.
Maybe this cactus is growing on the side of a hill, right? It's like desert hill.
It kind of feels like if you kind of look at it with your eyes, it looks like that is a hill right there. And the cactus is growing up through it, which is really cool.
Oliver just wants to let you know that he voted for the orange. So,
yep. Might just have to go back to
that one vote. Well, look.
We'll keep it like that for now. I think I know we'll see. For me, I have to, one thing I think advice to everyone is if you have the opportunity, take a step away from it for a day. Don't even think about it and then come back to it and see how your piece speaks to you, because it might be dark green tomorrow for me, so right. I think it's nice to be able to step away. And I know sometimes with deadlines it's not really an option, but it is nice to be able to step away. I'm saving it right now.
Okie dokie.
I think we have a little bit of time. I was gonna kind of you've
got like 25 minutes until we do the artist spotlight, and then after that you'll have another 10-15 minutes.
I think what I'll do is actually play with this other sketch that we had yesterday, just to kind of mix up and kind of see how I can take a similar approach to a different sketch so y'all can see what it looks like when I dive into making something a similar style to one of these others, but with a different illustration. So what I'm going to do then quickly is add a new artboard here. I'm actually going to do something weird here. So I'm going to edit artboards. I'm going to delete this one. I'm going to move this one over just so I can have some space. You can rearrange your artboards and things like that, but sometimes if you have art bleeding onto another artboard, it might transfer with that one, so you have to be careful with that. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of everything but I want to keep this one. Oh, and that looks kind of cool too. So I'm going to transfer this over here. This is my sketch onto this layer and
yay, the little boots.
Lock it. And that's kind of cool too, seeing it existing like that. So this style is a style that I do a lot. So what I'm going to do is show y'all how I'm going to make it into these boots. Really, and try to be quick with it because it does take me some time sometimes just to like dive in. But let's make a new layer here, and then I'm gonna call this boot layer.
There we go.
And I'm gonna go ahead and take a color from here. So maybe they're red boots. And then for here, I'm gonna work with. I think I'm gonna work with the Blob brush tool.
It's funny with the the Blob brush. It's like it feels like it has a personality. It's like, some reason this Blob brush could see it walking around.
All right. So sometimes if I'm going to be working quickly and I'm not going to be using the brush tool and I'm going to do this instead, the Blob brush, I can create these pieces like this. So we're going to kind of go quick with this one. So and so it smoothed it out a lot, like a lot more than I probably want, but we'll just go for it. And then you can also use the eraser tool here if you have some kind of going over. And that was what I was talking about earlier, is I like to get rid of some of these over pieces here. And so right now is another example of I'm using my mouse actually instead of using the Apple Pencil. And this is kind of where I play with drawing with one hand and then doing some things with the mouse, being left-handed and using both of those. So Blob brush, what I do is I use the direct select tool and I click on the inside and I delete it. So then I get my shape.
Gotcha.
There.
Gotcha. Because it's already got a shape in there. And so you're just kind of eliminating those borders on the inside, those anchor points.
And so you just kind of delete until they're all gone. And then now what I'm going to do is draw the soul part. So I'm going to go ahead and I think we're going to make it this green color for now. I think I'll want probably bring in a brown color, possibly.
Did you figure out the gene pattern?
No.
Has it made another appearance? Or?
It did. I think it's going to show up. Yep, there. Which I guess it goes with the theme here with the boots and things like that.
Let's just make these denim boots. Let's just go for it. Ooh, alligator skin boots. It's not bad, RB. I like that.
That's a great idea. They've got these ostrich boots that are really cool. I think they're the ones that have the dots on them. That's the type of leather if you see those. I'm trying to think of, I've seen all kinds of boots since living in Texas. Like they've had, oh, here's another style that you could try. And I messed up here only on here because this is how I'm working, but this is actually on Multiply right now. And so one trick too is if you are working in, I think in a print style and you have transparent inks that can work, you can actually use two colors, but it creates three. So the way that these overlap, so the red overlapping on the green creates this kind of, I guess it's like a deep brown color that's happening here. But I actually want this to be opaque, so I'm going to go ahead and do normal. I don't love this interaction here, but I'm just going to keep it just so I can get a little further on here. And let's get this green again. And for here, I think I might actually make this boot have a different color up here. So this is where I bring the shape tool in. And that way, if I do want to end up making this red, I can either take it off or change this to a red color.
Right.
So I'll take the sketch off. So this is kind of where we are now. And that's where we were with this piece over here. It's a little more flat. And it can be really cute like this too, because you could almost imagine it being a 2-color screen print or something like that. But I'm going to start adding in the shadows. And what I'm going to do here as a trick, just for time too, is when I finish this boot, I'll actually be able to copy and paste it and have it twice. So you cut down on your time if you are short on time. Let's make this one.
So do you wear cowboy boots at all, or have you?
I have purchased some. I have some thick caps, so they're not always comfortable.
You need tapered.
I know. I have some like booty ones. I do have some that I got from a thrift store that are taller, but those are a little less comfortable. And then I wear a lot of boots, but not a lot of cowboy boots.
Yes, they'd have to be like a latex cowboy boot or something flexible.
It's like if you're trying to show someone a tattoo or something and you're wearing skinny jeans, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think we could go with red boots, but I do want to make this one a little different. So maybe because of this one, so this is a multiply layer, you'll see it's a little bit, it's kind of hard to see. It's really subtle, but you kind of have that. And I think what I'll do actually is get let's do this. Let's make a little bit of a kind of a style here. Oops. I think sometimes too on my tablet, I can sometimes find myself, I drag. So I think sometimes it messes up the way the pencil is drawing. So like I'll get these, and I think that's what happens when that happens.
You should get a drawing glove.
I know, I should. I haven't looked into those.
They're very useful. I've been using them for over 10 years. Actually, longer than that, because I have really sweaty hands, and when I was younger and just drawing on paper, I would take a tissue and poke finger holes in it.
Oh my gosh.
And I would draw with that so that I wouldn't smear the graphite.
That's awesome. DIY.
Yeah, but it is very handy especially for the screen, so that you don't kind of skip along with your hands sometimes. I think it also helps with the detection, because sometimes it feels like you're trying to use a smudge tool or something with your fingers.
So something I did hear that I probably should explain. Okay, so I cut off here, but sometimes I like it to feel a little bit like there's a little bit of texture there, as if you were kind of going down the line of the boot, and then you see, you know, if you cut that off, you don't get that. So like the little details, I like to hit Shift C, and that gives me this one, which is called, oh, that's called the anchor point tool. Okay, I never know what this one's called, but you get this little piece right here, and you can create a little curve. And so then you get something other than that straight line. And then I came back in, and I didn't like those sharp corners, so I was able to take the corners and round them.
Yeah, it's nice, that kind of like embroidered stitching, leather on top.
And I think what I'll do here is actually maybe make a line here. Actually, no, I'm going to keep that plain. And we're going to get these. And for now, I'm going to keep them white, I think. So I'll look at my sketch again. I'm pretty much where I want that boot to be. Maybe I'll keep it dark. So now I'm gonna start creating the shadows that I had on the other one. So if you look over here, this is the torn version. I'm gonna grab, I think that might be locked. So yeah, so I'm gonna unlock it so I can grab this color here and start working on the shadows. So still using the blob brush, gonna come in here, and I kind of have, I don't know, I've kind of developed how I create shadows over a period of time. And again, I don't think that they would be like what you would call accurate shadows, but I like the way they end up looking on the piece. And I am drawing on the wrong layer, so we're gonna bring that into this layer. Actually,
I think I sometimes have to remind myself when creating art that it's, you sometimes just need to find the solution that makes the design work, not necessarily, you know, what's realistic. And so yeah, it's like what's going to help balance the piece, or, you know, accent a focal point, or
now that became the full blue, so I'm just gonna eyedropper tool that so I can get my shadow back here. And I do want the shadow to exist on both these, so what I'm gonna do is, but I might want this one to be a little darker, so I'm gonna copy this layer just so I have it, and I'm going to first do it on this one, and then I'm gonna paste it again and take away from these two. So I'm selecting these two objects, so the boot top and the sole, and then I'm going to hit Shift M, and I'm going to take away from here, and then I'm just going to actually hit plus there. I've got a little weird way of doing it, so I copy this, and then I actually hit Command Z to get back, and then I paste that. I'm going to paste that layer twice so that you can kind of tell that this shade is a little darker, the one on the bottom, because I have two versions of it. And I guess to keep my file a little cleaner, what I would do is go over here to transparency and just double that, or maybe it's tripled. So I'll make that 30. And you kind of get a little bit of a different shadow there. So now I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste it in front, but then move it to the back, and we're going to bring the boot over.
Hello.
But this time I'm actually going to have to, let's bring it to the top first so I can, I'm going to copy, I'm going to group it together, and then I'm going to paste it in front, and I'm going to come over here to Pathfinder. So I essentially created like a shadow version of that. So now bring those to the back. And I'm going to move it a little bit. I might actually shrink it in size. Let me go back to the sketch there. Okay. So for here, I had it like this, but you can see that I took away the heel, so the heel isn't distracting. So what I might end up doing is having to do that here. So all right, I actually think I'm gonna just draw it again, because the way that this works in my sketch, I like the way it looks that way, as opposed to kind of like the way it was turning out. So just quickly, what I would do is grab this color. Maybe I'll start with the green so I can see. Come in here, and it shouldn't take too long with a blob brush. So I'm just coming back. I'm actually just gonna not even make a full one. Now, this wouldn't work for animation like we were talking about yesterday, because it's not a full boot. It's like a prop half of a boot.
Very uncomfortable looking cowboy boot. It's chaps for your feet.
They wouldn't be comfortable. Oh, I'm not sure why that one. Oh, there we go. Oh, okay, we're just gonna leave it like that for now as we sketch. Okay, so let's grab this green, and we're gonna do this line again, which is kind of fun to draw again, kind of like what we did with the other piece, but we're talking about boots. I do own, one of the first things I bought when I moved to Texas was a Stetson hat.
Ooh, nice.
And I haven't worn my Stetson much this year, but I need to bring it back.
Seems like having all that heat, it's just nice to have. Protect your face.
Yeah, it helps a lot with sun protection.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now we're gonna do the last little bit. I think I might draw with a different color just to see better.
Yeah, LA had a pretty rough summer, just as far as like consistency and heat. Felt like it was 100 for a month straight.
I think my blood has changed. Yeah. I cannot handle air condition because I'm so used to heat, and then I actually will go outside to get warm because the ACs here are really efficient, which I'm not complaining because I know it could be horrible if we didn't have it. Yeah. When I lived in Houston, my AC broke the last week we were in our apartment, and thankfully the landlord got it fixed, but it was bad. I think it was,
because it's pretty humid in Houston, right? I mean, because you're right in the Gulf, and
very humid, and I think it was 95 in our house. Something crazy. I was worried that my computer was gonna, like, something bad was gonna happen to it and not be able to work after being in such high heat.
Yeah, it's brutal. So your going away present.
I know. Thankfully, it was able to be fixed because I don't know how we would have stayed in there. Let's see, Pathfinder tool. And then I'm just gonna do this. And I don't know if this is gonna look the way I want it to. So I'm just gonna bring this to the back. Okay. It's feeling a little like weird spatially. Move that for a second. I think I'll have to do something else. I think with my sketch it looked fine with the lines, but I think something like this might look a little better. So we'll have to redraw this part. I think for this one, I'll use a pen tool because I think I can get it pretty fast. Okay. And
Yep, and we're at, let's see, almost an hour and a half into the stream. So in about 5 minutes, we are going to be doing the artist spotlight. So if you're in our chat, or if you go to b.net/Adobelive, you can see in the top right corner, artist spotlight tab. Go ahead and click on it and fill out the form, and you could nominate yourself or somebody you know or somebody you follow on Behance to be on the next artist spotlight. We like to check out artists, get other people to follow them, and hype up their artwork.
yes, there's so many talented people all over, and it's just, you could spend a lot of hours looking at people's work.
Yes, yes. We go down the rabbit hole, so you don't have to.
All right. I wonder if I could just, so I'm gonna take
That'd
this.
be a good one to copy paste, yeah.
Yeah. And then use the shape tool. Okay. And then do this again and make it our shadow version. And I guess I can't be too perfectionist because we're moving quickly here. And what's kind of nice about that though too is it allows me to just go quickly with the flow. So let's draw this right here. Oops. And I don't know if we're going to get to the can, but I think it's fun to kind of see how far you can get in a short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like a chef competition.
Sorry, what?
Like a chef
Feels
competition.
Like... Oh, yeah.
When you only have 1 hour to cook this meal that is normally cooked overnight, but you only get 1 hour.
You get 1 hour, yeah. No pressure. We'll just start including a timer. So you just watch the seconds tick away.
And then I think because this is existing over that, that's why we're getting this weird shadow situation.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of adding the shadow over it, I'm gonna copy and paste a layer in front and then get the same shadow, because otherwise I might have a little bit of an issue here with the line, kind of this part not being in the shadow. So there's our 2 boots.
Ooh.
And I know we're getting close to looking at some awesome art. So I think what we can do is pull back, and I think what I'll do is put a color underneath just to give us a look of if these were a part of the same series. They're starting to kind of pull together a similar vibe with the line work here, which actually, thinking about it, if I were to continue this as a series, then I would want to make the line weight on here pretty similar to the line weight here, so that you can kind of have callbacks to each piece, and then they'll feel like they're more of a part of the same piece or collection.
I feel like I want to go and do this tearaway collage effect on some of my old drawings. Sounds really fun.
You should definitely try. I think it would be cool to see people try it in their styles too, because we all have such different styles.
I'm trying to remember his name. It's something Mitchell. He's an illustrator, and he does a lot of pop illustrations, but he also does these like bird illustrations, but they're all kind of like chibi, like fat bird styles. But he also does these like great, Star Wars portraits, like profile portraits. and he'll have all these prints, and then he'll stack them and do tearaways, like physical tearaways. And it's really cool because the way he's done every single profile portrait, he'll kind of move the paper so that it lines up with the profiles of the faces and the helmets. It's really cool.
That's awesome.
I feel like I gotta look for it now. All right, well, when you are at a stopping point, we will shift over into the artist spotlight.
Yes. Let's see. Open up Chrome. Cool.
All right.
Full screen, or make it a little bigger. Let me bring this up. All right. Are y'all ready?
Okay.
I'm ready.
We're here. We're an hour and a half in. It's 11 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, and we are at our artist spotlight. And the artist today is Daria, and I'm going to say this last name wrong, but I'm going to try. Shinakina. Shnakina. I think it's Shnakina. But looks like they're from the Moscow Russian Federation area. And
yes,
very, very beautiful use of color and shape and composition.
I am going to start clicking, if you don't mind.
Yes, please. Let's dive in. Let's dive in.
I am so intrigued because I tend to draw very simple illustrations, like meaning less details. And then when I'm actually really drawn to artists that create like this, because I am amazed at how you can add so much to one piece and it just looks so incredible. I'm so curious. Oh, okay, so this is in Photoshop. Oh, wow. Okay, so this is called Places I'd Love to Live In. Wow.
These are lonely cabins, mountain huts, and stilted forest tree houses. The off-grid dream.
I love the lighting in here.
I was just going to say the lighting. And if you look at those trees, just these are all just kind of these simple brush strokes. And you can even see the transparency in them. It's really beautiful.
Oh, that's an interesting combination because I think it's unexpected, but in a really nice way. Using, kind of painterly looks, and then you have this almost as if they were drawing on a sketchbook with pen, just drawing over.
It's almost like you have these washes with ink drawn on top.
Ooh. Oh my gosh. These look like all of the places you want to stay and just for like a week and not be on the internet and just kind of be in some quiet.
The cozy cabins.
Let's see. Oh, I don't know. Which one should we click? Oh, this looks like, it's from the movie Spencer with Kristen Stewart. Wow.
Oh, nice. All right, looks like this was done for the New Yorker article.
It's super like eerie, or it feels like you're in the fog. This is interesting. It looks like they did kind of a blur effect, and that's cool to see after illustrating, adding in what maybe you would use for photography.
Yeah, there's a lot of like very traditional feeling vibes with this, with like print and wash and the gouache kind of background blending, but then adding that blur effect, very digital. Obviously the color choices are pretty spot on.
I'm interested in this piece. And then Chris, I'd love for you to pick one that you want to look at. This one is so different on the outside from the other pieces that we've looked at. And so that's why I wanted to click on it. And it looks like a book cover, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's how cool is that design with that owl with the hand over the eye?
I would love to see their process on how they come to getting to that that conclusion of having the hand there, but then the eye and the owl. And I love this mock-up too. Mock-ups are really helpful when showing people your work. If you are working on a physical object, uh, especially if you're trying to sell, a t-shirt design or a book cover, being able to show the client in this format really gives them the idea of what it's going to be like when they have it in their hands, which is really cool. I am a huge fan now.
Click on that one right there.
This one?
To the left. Where the house is in the middle with the two people like gardening,
This
like
one?
watering the house. Yeah, there you go. This one's really cool because I love the scale.
Oh yeah.
And again, it's kind of applying these really, really graphic elements in the foreground with these really beautiful backdrops of color, and just how subtle all of those color changes are.
So cool. It's got a few pictures within a picture, which is almost, they must do a lot of editorial work because it feels it could go with an article. I love editorial illustration because that you have to think pretty quickly. You have to create something that's going to be of interest to maybe ask people to come in and read the article. And this it's imaginative, but in a strangely subtle way. Not like strange bad, but maybe at first glance you don't see that it's a house, but then you look closer and you see it's a house, which is really cool.
Yeah, editorial illustration, it's like the ultimate illustration, right? Like you have to know everything in that one image. So it's the ultimate puzzle to try to figure out how can you represent that. Because you're right, how fast are you going to be scrolling down or looking at something? You've got, maybe a few seconds to kind of capture their attention. I like some of these other ones too. They're like really illustrative. Like if you go all the way down, it's more just kind of sketching kind of that lineup of people. A little more freehand, a lot of brush stroke. They almost feel more like fashion illustration.
Yeah.
Like really quick textures and color. God, these are really cool.
Oh, I love the
shoes, how quickly they're.
Yeah.
It's hard to do stuff like this where it's like it's very free, quick sketching, good energy, but everything's in the right place. It's hard to mimic something like that.
I love this pattern shirt too. I think what's really lovely about that too is they took away the lines of the sleeves, like how you would see it, and kind of create this flat piece here, but you are able to, in your mind, know, okay, well, this character's arms are like this, and you don't have to see the lines of the work. And then the fact that the pattern is still flat on there too, I think looks nice. Like you cut paper and put it together, and it feels very human. You feel all of the lines. One of my favorite things is looking at paintings up close because you can feel every brush stroke and see them and see the texture of it.
Yeah, it's so different from seeing artwork on a screen than actually up close in a gallery or wherever you see it, seeing the brush strokes, kind of you see a little bit more into how the artist created the work.
This is a dream. This is a bucket list item for me.
The Google title.
Yes. I remember when they started doing that and always going to Google just to see it and learn about whatever is being celebrated that day or talked about.
Well, let's look at one more and then we'll get back. Try to finish up these boots.
Oh, this is a good one to end on, I think, because that is just feels so complex to me.
So look at the composition on that one too.
That's beautiful. I would love to go into their brain and just know, like, see how they see it before it comes out, because, and how your process is, like, where you start with this. Do you start with the buildings? Do you start with the, you know?
Right. Is there a color blocking process? Yeah. You know, is that kind of where it starts, where it's a thumbnail, or is it more of a free flow? Yeah, really beautiful.
This is great. I'm glad we looked at Daria's work today.
Yeah, I think it was Daria Shnikana. I think it's Shnikina.
So check them out. So you look here, find them on Behance, and give them a follow.
Definitely. Beautiful work. All right, let's get back with Carra Sykes. We're day 2. We've done our collage work. It's beautiful. Remember, this is all archived. You can go back and watch these videos when they pop up. Let's finish out strong. We've got about 10 minutes to really get working here.
I'm going to bring back these layers just so y'all can see them. This is where we ended up. And now we're just playing with the boots to kind of get them to match the style. Kind of the idea of being able to extend what you're working on, either do it in different styles or do a whole series in the same style. I think one of the big things I learned in school from one of my professors is show people more than one thing, you know, create a series, show that you can create, you know, in a bigger scale than just one piece. And it can really showcase your work in that way. And it's a fun experiment to try to play with a certain style that maybe you've been wanting to try out. Okay, so
I think with any professional artist is consistency is a huge thing to be able to have and master with your artwork and your style. Oh, you're going for it. We're going for the can.
Oh, I see what I was doing. And this is what happens when you have tons of layers, you start drawing on the wrong one. Make sure you select the right layer, and then you'll be able to see it. So. So using the Blob brush is going to make this piece look a little different than the other one I was working on, because the way that it works with your hand is a little different than the way that the brush works with your hand. So I think in hindsight, I would have started the same exact way, but I think by working a lot quicker, working with the Blob brush is kind of the way to go. I'm actually going to do rotate view, and so y'all can see kind of one of the things that was added to Illustrator that I love about on the iPad is being able to rotate the view. I rotate my view all the time in Photoshop because I have a hard time drawing ovals at a certain angle, so I have to be able to move it this way, so when I'm drawing it's more natural to draw this oval.
Yes, proper ellipses on anything is probably one of the hardest things to draw.
So we'll stick to it. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to, I'm gonna reset my view just so I can see it, and it's not exactly. So maybe what I'll do is, maybe we'll get in here. We're just gonna
make one. Yeah.
We're just gonna create one first, and then that way I don't have to get so stuck on it. Okay. Then the rest of the can be hand drawn.
Are there any beverages out there that can't find out here in California?
Oh, I don't know. I think the
I
only
know
one I can,
sometimes there's always special ones, right? Or something that kind of ends up in the local grocery stores or
y'all probably get Olipop. It's like the probiotic sodas. I love those.
I don't know if I've ever seen those. Is
I'm
it
trying to think.
OLLI or
I think it's OLI. Olipop.
OLI?
They, I'm trying to think if there's any Austin. A lot of brands come out of Austin.
Mm-hmm.
We have like Rambler. It's like a sparkling water brand. They have really cool design, and then and I do like having local beer here is really good. Texas, I
Mm-hmm.
think, has a lot of really good beer.
Right. All the microbreweries. I like that color.
Austin Austin and Houston have a ton. Um, but yeah, I can't think of any like certain sodas that I like.
Well,
I
that
don't.
Olipop, I don't think I've seen that one. So
The design
that
is
was a new
really,
one.
really cute.
Yeah, it's
That's
really
why I
great.
tried it. That's why I tried it. It's so bad.
I was judging the book by its cover and it worked.
That's usually how I decide on a lot of beverages is what it looks like.
Well, you know what? Why they probably wouldn't have it here is because it's called soda, not pop. And so go to the West Coast, it's soda. Everywhere else, it's pop, I believe.
And we do call it soda, but that might also be because I'm from North Carolina originally.
Mm-hmm.
I know some places call everything Coke and some
Which
places
is so
call
funny.
everything Pepsi. Yeah, and then depending on where you're from, you might call it something different, which is funny.
Annika was saying that Olipop took social media by storm in 2021. So must have been a popular item.
So cute. And then so what they do is they make uh they've made one that kind of tastes like Dr. Pepper, but it's one of those probiotic sodas. So it's very low in sugar and it's really good. And then
Sounds good to me.
I think that Recess brand got really popular on social media too. They had a really good uh they have really good campaigns and design. Um but their grape soda, the Olipop. I don't even know. We get it
It's
all the time. We get it
it
all
is.
the
I think it's
time.
Olipop. It says OLIPOP.
The grape soda is so good.
It all sounds delicious.
I think. And so a lot of times you'll see here I'm using these colors. I'll probably go back and change them, but I like to define the pieces, um, the shapes and all that, so then I don't have to worry about it later when I am choosing color. So I like to think
Mm-hmm.
of things in shapes and then color. And then sometimes I luck out and the color already looks really nice, but that doesn't always happen.
Well, Carrot, you've got, I'd say, a few minutes before we're going to go into our wrap up. So just so you know, let's get this little can finished.
I can do it. All right. I think the issue here, I keep having where I'll draw on the wrong layer and
All these artboards.
what we're gonna do, let's try this. Okay, I need that color there, yeah. If I can give any advice, it's just try to have fun with whatever you're making. And don't be too hard on yourself, because it's easy to kind of compare and look at other people's work, but then also, that keeps you from exploring. And I think if you can test out different styles, that might become kind of your thing. And you wouldn't really get there unless you explored and tried different styles and try out just having fun like we used to when we were kids in drawing.
I mean, it's kind of the dream, right? It's like to kind of maintain some of that curiosity and playfulness, but get paid for it.
Yeah.
Still live. All right, it is 11:20. We are so close to the end here. So, Carra, please get to a stopping point where you feel like you are ready and we can do a full recap of what we've done for these last 2 days with Carra Sykes, graphic designer, illustrator, working on some collage, very Western themed pieces here.
All right. I can take y'all through this.
Okay. All right, let's do it.
Let's do it. So I'm going to be taking off a lot of these so that we are only looking at our sketch. So we started with a sketch that was already here. And then we had 4 different styles that I tried. These are going to be out of order, but here's one. And then here is another of the styles right here. And then,
and this one was closest to your style, correct? That's kind of
yes. This one is. Yeah. This is the one that I pretty much kind of gravitate towards. And then we've got this style, so it's just line work, a lot of pen tool, but I snuck in some brush tool in there. And then we have the really painterly one, which I'm trying to find. I think it was art number 3. So this one right here. But it's hidden. It's hidden here. So I'm just going to take this out and show by pasting it onto this layer right here. So that was the 3rd one that we did. And then now we're going to go on a little journey here, and I'm going to highlight or turn on all of these layers and show the final piece that we took together. We tore some paper and created these edges, went in there and made it. And so I'm going to show y'all the trim view, and this is where we got right here, this piece. And the audience, y'all were awesome, and also give me a suggestion to have the green down here. So I'll change it back to green to have it for the end of the show.
Yeah, we'll see if it stays. I don't know. And is this something that we're going to be seeing this on your social at all, on Behance, Instagram?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think I'm going to want to finish out the boot at least just to have because it's super fun to work on.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll be posting this piece and probably also the individual pieces to my Instagram and also Behance. And yeah, you can find me at Carra Sykes on Instagram and pretty much every social media platform.
Awesome. And then you said you used to stream on Behance. You don't do it as much anymore, correct?
I think I'm going to try to get back on because it's fun to talk through my process and have people ask questions. And I love being able to provide any information that I can to anyone who's curious. So you might see me back on streaming live on Behance. It might happen. We'll just have to do it late. Yeah, when my son's sleeping or early in the morning when he's sleeping. So
got to make the time.
Yeah,
tough being a parent and an artist and a professional, but all right. Well, thank you so much. This is the end of day 2 with Carra Sykes, coming in from Texas, a graphic designer, wonderful illustrator. It's been so great having you on here. Loved what you produced. And remember, these videos are archived, so you can go back, watch this, see all the little details and little tricks that we went over. So awesome. Thank you so much. Stick around for the Illustrator Creative Challenges with Jack Watson. Immediately following the Creative Challenge, stick around for a new episode of How to with Claudia from Print My Soul. followed by a new episode of Let's InDesign with Annika Agarwal. Thank you so much again, Carra. It's been really fun. And
Thank you.
yeah, thanks everybody for joining us. It's always great having everybody participating. So hopefully we'll see everybody really soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye.